What's up friends? Welcome to my channel. My name is Sarah and for today's video I'm going to be showing you what I eat during a busy school week, as made obvious by the title of the video. Yeah, I was trying to plan out videos for the next month or two and I realized I hadn't done a what I eat in a day video in a pretty long time, and I figured why not step it up a bit and do a what I eat in a week video, because maybe someone's interested but probably not. And I thought too that it could pair well with the school related vlogs that I've been doing recently, in case there's anyone who's curious about how I implement meals into my day and how I prepare and how I make it all work despite working like 10 hours a day. Then this video is for you. I also thought this would be a good week to shoot this video because I found a handful of new recipes that I want to try, not my own recipes. I'll be linking everything down in the description if there's anything you see that you like and you want to make. And just so maybe it's a little bit different than my other what I eat in a day videos. Granted, I don't know what those were because I haven't filmed them in a long time and I tend to keep my diet pretty varied anyway in terms of the foods that I like to eat. But yeah, other than that, I guess all that's left to say is that I did go grocery shopping and I meal planned ahead of time, so I already knew what I was going to make for the week before the week happened. I figured that wasn't necessary for this video, but if that's something that you're interested in, leave a comment down below. I'd be happy to explain how I meal plan and meal prep and all that. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it, I guess. So on Monday, I started off with breakfast around 9:30. This is probably a little bit later than when I typically like to eat breakfast, but honestly I think this is around the time that I eat breakfast most days. Kind of a slow struggle to get out of bed this week. And I know I just said I was going to be trying out some new recipes for this video, so it wasn't repetitive of what I always do, but I have been on a really big rice cake and cream cheese kick and kiwis. I've been obsessed with kiwis recently, so this day's breakfast was a caramel rice cake with plain cream cheese and a sliced up kiwi to go along with it. And of course I have to have my coffee in the morning, so this is a local Delaware brand, I'm pretty sure. It's called Pike Creek. I just paired the Natural Bliss hazelnut almond creamer, I think it is. And yeah, this is my simple Monday morning breakfast. How exciting. Moving on to lunchtime, which happened at about 1:30, I meal prepped this really good Thai veggie quinoa bowl. This is one of the new recipes that I said I had recently found. I've never tried it before, so here are all of the ingredients that I used for it. I did mix things up a little bit, but it's still pretty similar to the original recipe. So while my quinoa was cooking, I prepped all the veggies as well as the dressing that goes with it. While doing this, I had a really good feeling that this wasn't going to be enough quinoa because I think the recipe called for 2 servings, so I was hoping to get 2 days worth of lunch out of it, and it definitely was not enough, so I ended up making more quinoa. That way I can use this as a lunch again later in the week. But yeah, this was a super simple, super delicious lunch, and it was quite filling as well, so I do highly recommend. And of course, like I just said, I made enough so I could have leftovers for lunch on another day. Moving on to dinner, because I had a little bit of a late lunch, I also had a later dinner, which I tend to do during the week just because 3 days during the week I have class until about 7 o'clock. So I've just gotten in the habit of having later meals than normal. That way I'm not overly hungry while I'm sitting in class. So this is another new recipe that I never tried before. It is a tomato bisque with meatballs recipe that I found on Pinterest. Again, I didn't strictly follow the recipe. I added a couple things, I took a couple things away, but these are the ingredients that I used and they're essentially very similar to what the recipe called for. And I also used Beyond Beef for the meatballs because I don't think this was actually a vegan or vegetarian recipe, but I adapted it so it could be. So I just used 2 burgers worth of Beyond Meat patties to make the meatballs, which turned out to be really good in terms of serving sizes. If anyone does want to make this recipe, I highly recommend letting the meatballs cook in the sauce for like an hour and a half, because when I initially taste tested the soup, it literally just tasted like canned tomatoes and that's not a great taste. So definitely let it simmer down and get all the flavors to kind of incorporate together. But otherwise, yeah, it did taste pretty good. It honestly just tasted like marinara and meatballs without the pasta. But hey, I mean, nothing wrong with that. I love a good marinara sauce. So I served myself half of the soup. I topped it with a little bit of Asiago cheese just to add a little more flavor. Otherwise, I made this recipe completely vegan. I kind of messed that up when I added cheese to it, but whatever. Just for a small side, I intended on having a salad, but I really wasn't in the mood for a salad, so I had one of my dad's homemade dinner rolls. If you watch my last recipe, yes, it is that recipe that he used, and he's getting much closer, so that is the roll update if anyone was curious. And I just topped the roll with a little bit of vegan butter, and it was a very delicious meal. And just like lunch, I had leftovers that I packed up and will be saving for dinner again later this week. Oh, and I did have a little late night snack on this night too, which is something I don't always do, but I was in the mood for something sweet, so I had this bag of mint chocolate chip popcorn that I had a couple pieces of just to tide me over until breakfast the next morning. I'm really not a mint chocolate chip kind of bitch, but like, this wasn't that bad, honestly. So on Tuesday, I changed up my breakfast a little bit, but I made a smoothie with almond milk, frozen bananas, frozen berries, vanilla Garden of Life protein, flaxseed, and then I think I added some water to it as well. And then I literally made the same exact coffee that I had made before. And while making my breakfast, I also started to prep part of my lunch, so I just put this rice into my rice cooker and let that cook because I needed it to be cooled for when I needed it later for lunch. 10 points to Gryffindor for whoever can guess what I'm making for lunch. Alright, so 10 points to whoever guessed that I was making sushi. Obviously I've had sushi before, this isn't a new recipe. However, I haven't made mango and avocado sushi before. Mango avocado rolls are probably my favorite sushi roll there is. Please do not judge my sushi rolling skills. I know that they are quite terrible, but if the end result is sushi, then I did something right. And so I had my sushi with a side of soy sauce and a side of spicy mayo that I had already made previously a couple weeks ago with, I think, the Hellmann's vegan mayonnaise. And like every other meal in this video, I intentionally made extra rice so I can have sushi as a lunch again later this week. And after finishing lunch, I started to prep my dinner because I also had a recipe for dinner that required planning ahead of time. This recipe I recently found on Instagram and I was super stoked about. It's a vegan tempeh pot roast. So you use tempeh instead of beef. You have kind of whatever chopped up veggies that you'd like to add to it. I found a vegan beef broth, added some wine to it, I think. Like I've been saying, all these recipes are linked down below so you can find more details there. And then you pretty much just let it sit in the slow cooker for like 6 to 8 hours, which is perfect because it was gonna be finished cooking just in time for me to be done class. Also around this time, I decided it was time for more coffee since I still had a bunch more work left to do. So I made myself an iced coffee with a homemade gingerbread syrup. And I'm not gonna get into it here, but long story short, I'm very disappointed that Starbucks has not brought back their gingerbread lattes anymore. So I took things upon myself and I have made my own syrup, and it's been quite a process. And if you want the full rant, you can check out my Instagram because I ranted about that in one of my last posts. But this was my first time trying the gingerbread syrup that I made in an iced coffee, and it was really good actually. I'm quite proud of myself. Alright, so I think it's around 6:30 when I'm filming here. I got out of class a little bit early, and the pot roast is looking tasty, smelling delicious, so I had myself quite a nice meal to conclude the evening. And of course, this recipe made enough for there to be leftovers. I thought it was only going to be 2 meals worth, but it ended up being 3 meals worth. So now I potentially have an extra dinner on the weekend that I don't have to plan for. And I did separate the broth from the tempeh and veggies so I can make it into a gravy the next time that I cook it. Okay, so now we're on to Wednesday, back to my rice cake, but this time I decided to try it with pumpkin butter instead of the cream cheese, and it was actually really good. And obviously I had a kiwi with it as well, and just like the last 2 days, it's the same exact coffee that I had on Monday. So for Wednesday's lunch, I had that leftover quinoa bowl from Monday, and it was honestly so perfect. Like I literally just took it out of the fridge, put the sauce on, didn't have to do anything to it, and I just sat at my desk and ate while I continued to work because I had a lot of stuff to do this day, so it was nice to not have to worry about making myself a lunch. I'd also just like to give fair warning for anyone that wants to make this recipe. There is way too much red onion in it. Like, I don't know why whoever made this recipe did not have it right, which is really weird because there technically should feel like there's less red onion because I added more quinoa to it, but not more veggies, but there's still way too much onion. And I'm pretty sure I even used less onion than was originally suggested because I already knew it sounded like way too much. It still ended up being way too much. I almost always stand by the rule that whenever a recipe calls for garlic, you always add in way more garlic, and if a recipe calls for onion, you almost always add in way less onion. There's almost never an exception to the garlic rule, but there's sometimes an exception to the onion rule because sometimes recipes will call for a tablespoon of onion. And I'm just like, if you really think I'm gonna chop up and measure a tablespoon of onion, then your recipe probably already needs more onion than what you think it does. Anyway, around this time I also decided it was time for more coffee, so I made an iced coffee out of a old coffee that I got on Saturday. Don't judge me, but I didn't want it to go to waste and I kind of forgot that I had it until now. And you know, it really wasn't that bad. It tasted fine. Right before class, I also needed a little snacky snack because I was hungry, so I had this Halloween Reese's cup from my good friend Timothy. And I know, Halloween's over, but I don't want to put him away until he's empty and there's no more candy in there. Am I intentionally eating the candy really slow so I can keep him out? Maybe. As I was saying before, this day was really busy for me. It was really convenient to already have this tomato and meatball soup made up, or the pasta dinner, hold the pasta, as I also like to call it. And I had dinner really late this day. I think I had dinner around like 8:30 because I was just like so in the zone with doing homework and stuff that I just didn't feel hungry until this late. And we had no more delicious dinner rolls, so I opted for some little breads, which yes, I did actually write little breads in the notes that I made for myself, so I'm saying it on camera here. And I topped those with vegan butter, garlic salt, and a little bit of nooch. Once again, I intended on having a side salad, but I still wasn't in the mood for greens. Will I ever eat the salad mix that I have before it goes bad this week? Stay tuned. And now, so we're at Thursday morning. I had stayed up really late Wednesday night trying to get work done. I wanted to sleep in. It didn't really work. But either way, I didn't get out of bed until quite late, and I had a meeting at like 8:30. So I had my coffee around 9:30, and I really was not hungry, probably from eating dinner so late last night. So yeah, I just needed some damn caffeine to get my day started. Then the day got a little more exciting around lunchtime when I decided to treat myself to Playa Bowls, which is like a smoothie and oatmeal place. And I think it started in Jersey. They have a bunch of different stores everywhere, but all smoothie bowl places are the same. So you're not missing anything if you're not in this area. So for my lunch from Playa Bowls, I got a juice. I think it was called a Beach Break juice. It had carrot, lemon, ginger, pineapple, and I added kale, which I'm not sure if they actually added any kale because no part of this juice looks green. And then I also got one of their oatmeal bowls that had banana, walnut, cinnamon, and figs. And then I added Nutella because why not? Both of them were extremely delicious, very satisfied with my choices. And it's not often that I go to places to buy smoothie or oatmeal bowls just because they're so expensive and I can normally make them for much cheaper myself at home. However, sometimes these stores have ingredients that I don't and it's more convenient and I'm lazy, and yeah, it's a nice treat to have. Also, disclaimer, I guess, I don't know, if you ever see me drinking juice, it's not for any sort of health benefits. I know that there is like a big trend around juice cleanses and all that stupid nonsense. I drink juice because I like it and it tastes good. If I'm looking to get any sort of nutritional benefit out of a juice, I'm just gonna eat the fruit as a whole or make a smoothie, because in fact you're losing a lot of nutrients by making juice and not just eating the fruit or the vegetables. Anyway, rant over. I just wanted to say that before people thought I was like some juice person. So for Thursday's dinner, I once again got out of class really early, which was exciting for me because I don't like sitting in class for 3 hours. So I had dinner probably around like 6:30, and I had the leftover tempeh pot roast that I had earlier in the week. And I actually used the leftover broth to make a gravy. I just added some cornstarch to a little bit of the broth to make a slurry, added that back into the broth to make gravy. And this wasn't my idea. This is like an optional step in the recipe. Despite the fact that I'm not the biggest fan of the vegan broth that I purchased, I do recommend if you're making this recipe to turn the broth into the gravy and eat the meal that way, because I think it just tastes better and adds a little bit of like extra flavor, extra texture, and I just really love gravy. So if you also enjoy gravy, I recommend turning the broth into gravy because it's good. And then later this night, I kind of got a little bit of a sweet tooth like I had on Monday, but I wasn't really hungry, so I made myself some hot chocolate with almond milk. I also added a little bit of CBD just because I felt like I had been really on edge most of the day and I was really anxious. So I have a bottle of CBD that I always forget about, so I don't know if it actually does anything. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life in terms of anxiety and CBD, but I use some and that's that. Friday, last and final day. Thanks for sticking around if you're still here. I had breakfast around 9:30 again, and I made a smoothie, but I decided on a different kind of smoothie today. So this one is a chocolate banana smoothie. So I used Garden of Life chocolate protein instead of vanilla. Also added some flaxseed and a little bit of peanut butter because why not? And I actually didn't have lunch on this day because I wasn't really hungry most of the day. And on Friday is burger night for my parents and they tend to eat early, so I knew I'd be eating with them. So having lunch just didn't seem right because I knew I wouldn't be hungry come 4 o'clock when they eat dinner. And so for burger night this week, they decided to get takeout from Red Robin, and I got their Impossible Burger, and I get this with no mayonnaise and normally broccoli on the side, which they gave me like a really wimpy amount of broccoli this day. Normally they give me a lot more, but then I'll normally just top it off some garlic salt and nutritional yeast. Makes my meal seem a little bit healthier. I also had some onion rings because my parents always get their onion rings and they're delicious. And yeah, friends, that is what I eat in a week during a busy week while also trying new recipes. Apologies if this video was kind of all over the place. I'm like, my mind is in 12 million different places right now, so thanks for sticking with me if you made it this far. As simple as what I eat in a day videos are, they are fun to make and they're easy to make and I enjoy making them, especially when I can tie it into school and other things and hopefully provide useful information to others who might need it. So I'll probably be making more of these again in the future. Actually, I know I will be because my next video is going to be a what I ate on Thanksgiving Day video, so keep your eye out for that if you're interested. I'm making a bunch of really good vegan and vegetarian dishes for myself and my family. And yeah, alright, cool. I don't really know what else I'm talking about anymore. Alright, I think that's it. I'll stop rambling now. Once again, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to check out my Thanksgiving video that's coming out soon. Take a look at all of my other food-related videos on my channel, so please check those out and support me if you want. Also, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, whatever. I don't care. I will see you guys next week.